Hi, and welcome to The Naturalist, your go-to place for all things CPG trends and more. I'm your host, Adrienne Smith, and we have a very special guest today, my friend and colleague, Nancy Coulter-Parker, and guru in all things organic. Before I talk to Nancy about what's driving growth in organic produce this year, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors, Zigo and Nusante. This episode is brought to you by Newbies. If you've got a picky eater, this one's for you. We didn't set out to build a brand. We set out to solve snacking for our family and friends. So Newbies had to be the best. Real nutrition and real convenience in a little 125 milliliter pouch made for small hands and lunch boxes, with flavors picky eaters actually finish. And Newbies Plus, for all of us big kids, is now plant-based. Made for our family and yours and ready for your shelf. Learn more at nusante.com. That's Nusante with a G. Today, we're going to talk about organic and specifically organic produce. So I am joined by my colleague and friend, Nancy Coulter-Parker, the go-to organic guru. Nancy, you know things.
I know things.
And Nancy and I are going to talk a little bit about some of the drivers behind organic growth in produce. After that, we're going to cut to a special interview that Nancy did recently with Brenna Davis, the CEO at Organically Grown Company. Now, we've talked about it before on the show. We, of course, besides New Hope Network and other health and nutrition portfolio events, we also have the Organic Produce Network and the Organic Produce Summit, which is a show that's coming up in July in the beautiful city of Monterey.
It's a great
location. Have you been to Monterey? You were at the show last year.
I went last year, yes. And I love this show. It's one of my favorites, I have to say.
Yeah, so this is the third year that New Hope Network has been running the show, so to speak. But this is actually the 10th anniversary this year of the Organic Produce Summit.
It is the 10th anniversary. And it's a fun show. It's a great group of people. It's really condensed. But it's all sort of fast and furious. Like everyone comes in, we have great content, and then there's actually the trade show, the floor's open. And it's just kind of amazing all that happens within such a short, time frame. And it is a fantastic location. A lot of people from California coming in, obviously, but also from around the country.
Well, and as always, my favorite part of any show or any event is lunch, and I think OPS is really famous for that.
Yes,
community lunch. Everybody at the show eats lunch together in the plaza, which is so
it's fantastic. And also even like kind of an evening cocktail hour, like it's just a great location. But yeah, the food is fantastic. So I'm sorry you're going to miss it this year, but I will go for you.
Yes, thank you. We should what do you think? Should we bring that to Expo West? Should we suggest that to the team? 70,000 people having lunch together?
Exactly.
Great. So, Nancy, you're going to be attending the show. You mentioned, I know you're going to be on stage a lot at the show. But what I really wanted to talk a little bit about today is organic produce. So that's a thing, right?
It's absolutely a thing. And I think the amazing thing about organic produce is it just keeps growing. It really, this year it grew 5 times faster than conventional produce. It's kind of got the largest overall penetration and as an organic category into the overall market. We put out the Organic Produce Network State of Organic, and so you can get that. We talk about what happened in 2025, but produce is about 13% of that overall market, which is really impressive. But typically we always talked about parents and new parents. That was sort of the gateway, but there are a lot of other things that are driving interest in organic produce right now that are kind of exciting to see. There's sort of some of the typical trends that we're seeing in the marketplace. Obviously we still have the new family, new parents and all that, but also, MAHA has had an influence on it, and, the Make America Healthy Again movement. Although that's a little curious because
I was going to say that's a little bit dicey right now though, right?
It's a little dicey right now. They haven't come out and said no pesticides. So that in a way kind of
goes against the tenets of organic farming. Yeah.
But some of the, the call for just that healthy eating or, being healthy has hit a chord. More so, I think, GLP-1s are definitely influencing the marketplace right now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of chat about that. Organics exploding thanks in part to GLP-1 use. Is that, do you think because people just want, if they're going to eat less, they want to eat better? I mean, is that kind of like
exactly
in
like
a
if they're
nutshell?
eating less, they're really focused on like what am I eating and really paying attention more than maybe they have in the past. So it's that clean. I mean, organic solves for a lot of things. It's like clean eating, nutrient dense foods, and taste. I mean, an organic berry like that just tastes beautiful. So I think there are things like that that are leading people to focus, to lean into organic. And I think there's a huge opportunity for organic on that front.
I thought when I looked at the numbers that we had in the organic produce report this year, and you've already mentioned this, but that's an industry that is growing at a rate of grew at a rate of 5.9% in 2025. And you mentioned it was 5 times faster, but just to underline that, conventional produce only grew at 1.3%.
Right.
So not only 5 times, but I mean, it just feels huge. I mean, that's a massive jump.
People have had there have been a lot of pressures in the marketplace. We have inflation, gas prices going up, and people I think they're sort of being more intentional. So maybe not eating out as much again, and really thinking about if I'm gonna eat something or if I'm eating at home, like what am I eating, and really leaning into that the flavor, the health, the cleanliness, and so I think we're seeing that, but I think one of the barriers is also supply. And so, organic berries are the top category, and they are just, still kind of growing year over year. And really, the push against them is the lack of supply, because we're eating up as many berries as we can get. And then,
Do you see there was an article in the New York Times the other day that was about, and I actually didn't get through the whole article, so I don't know what the takeaway was, but when the woman started talking about berry sales and that when she became a mom, she didn't realize as she budgeted for like diapers and, all these other like toddler things that a huge part of her budget was going to be berries.
Oh, absolutely.
Kids love
right.
berries.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah. Oh, totally. Like organic blueberries,
So is there any sense that the price gap between conventional and organic produce has narrowed in recent years? Or, I mean, I certainly make that, not obviously across the board, but I certainly see it in some products when you go to the grocery store and you're, looking at an organic banana or a regular banana and you're like, well, actually the difference is 20 cents a pound.
Bananas are a great example.
I'm totally making this up, but yeah.
I think bananas are a great example because they, intentionally kind of keep organic bananas priced similar to conventional. It's almost like an entry point for people that you can see, oh, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
They're the same thing. Organic is only going to go up so high. I think with some of the other costs that are hitting the marketplace, like say for conventional, it's like organic, or for conventional fertilizers or, and gas costs for farmers. I mean, there are a lot of prices hitting them. So conventional, the gap isn't so big right now. And I do think that when that happens, it really isn't easy. It's kind of, people will look at organic and go, well, what's the difference here? And organic has the halo as it should, right? It's, people, the younger generations too, are really interested in eating healthy. I mean, it's a real thing right now, whether it's GLP-1s or whether it's just people looking for that, clean food. Organic has all of the, kind of credentials that people are looking for in a healthy food.
Well, that's great. I mean, I certainly am excited to see those numbers. And I don't want people just to take my word for it because we have an even more qualified person. I mean, it's not easy to be more qualified than me talking about this, but an even more qualified person to bring on. We're going to go to a really wonderful interview that you recently did with Brenna Davis, the CEO at Organically Grown Company. And before we jump to that interview, Nancy, Brenna Davis is one of the keynote speakers at the Organic Produce Summit. Is that correct?
Yes. She will be speaking at the Women's Organic Networking Lunch. We're really excited to have her. She has a, kind of a long history in the industry. She was at PCC Markets and then the CEO of Organically Grown, which is the organic produce distributor. She's just one of my favorite people. We're really excited to have her at the show.
All right, let's hear from Brenna Davis. You might have seen Zico and CEO Colleen Cavanaugh at Expo West or Newtopia Now, on the show floor or on stage talking about regenerative agriculture and specialty grain supply chains. If you haven't met them yet, let me introduce you. Zico makes delicious organic oats, muesli, and superfood oatmeal, gluten-free, food allergy-friendly, regeneratively grown, and made right here in the U.S., and glyphosate-free. And they back this up Scan the QR code on any Zigo package, and you'll see their latest third-party test results for pesticide residues, heavy metals like lead, and gluten. You can find Zigo at natural food stores near you, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, Lassen's, Jimbo's, Erewhon, and Mom's Organic Market, or at zigofoods.com. And there's a special offer for the Naturalist listeners. Use code PODCAST for 10% off your next purchase.
So, hi again. I am Nancy Coulter-Parker with New Hope Network, and I am here today with Brenna Davis, the CEO at Organically Grown Company. Welcome, Brenna. It's great to see you.
Hi, Nancy. Great to see you.
And I'm so excited to just chat with you today about organic produce. And just to get started, I'm wondering if you could just kind of give us an idea, talk about Organically Grown Company and where it sits in the world of organic produce.
Sure. Yeah. Organically Grown Company was founded in 1978 in Eugene by a bunch of back-to-earthers and folks that really cared about the environment. We became a co-op and worked together as growers to advance organic produce and the organic movement. And then over time, it became a perpetual purpose trust, which is a trust that exists to advance a particular purpose. And for us, it's sustainable food systems. And we're an organic produce distributor. We serve about 8 states up and down the West Coast. We have about 300 employees, 40 trucks that go up and down the West Coast. We also do logistics and help different growers move their product in addition to doing produce distribution. But we're really focused on helping independent and value-aligned retailers thrive. And so for us, that means we work with a lot of co-ops and a lot of independent grocers. That's really what we get excited about. We're just so excited to be working also on advocacy and really growing the organic agricultural movement.
Your background has been focused on environment sustainability forever. So, and you've worked in, with big tech companies and healthcare companies, and then you took the position of, I think, Vice President, Social and Environmental Responsibility at PCC Community Markets in Seattle. And I know you were there for a bit. And was that like a stepping stone that led you to Organically Grown Company, or did you always have a passion for organic? And then, I guess what I'm getting at is how did you end up, kind of on this specific path, since you've really looked at, you've worked for a broad range of companies in this space?
Yeah, well, I've always been so interested in the environment and how businesses make the decisions they do and how that impacts the environment. And as a kid, I used to play in a forest in the Pacific Northwest, and I saw that forest get cut down, and it always impacted me. As my mom said, well, that was a business decision. That's why people made that decision. So I've always been curious about why businesses make the decisions they do. I got a degree in environmental science and then, multiple degrees in business, and have really worked in that area my whole career of thinking, how do I help these businesses reduce their environmental and social impact? And working at the co-op at PCC was just such a tremendous experience for me, because as a kid, I also, my mom was a member of the PCC co-op. And I remember in the 70s, her wearing her bell bottoms and going into the co-op when it was just these, what do you call those, oak wine barrels that they used to, in the co-ops, they used to put line with garbage liners.
Right.
Foods, it was the early bulk food movement. Anyway, I just remember that and the smell of it and the smell of the food. And so anyway, it was just a great experience. And that was sort of a segue for me to move into executive leadership and then move over to OGC. But my family has always been into growing food. My dad was born on a farm. My grandparents all participated in agriculture in some way. My mom has worked on multiple organic farms and communes, and, she kind of did the hippie movement thing. And she still, to this day, goes out with her cane and is planting starts out in the cooperative that she is a member of, like a kind of a neighborhood farming cooperative. So anyway, it kind of runs deep in my blood. And at OPS during the women's event, the keynote, I'm actually going to be sharing some of those stories with the women there that are attending, fantastic. And helping us all to reconnect with kind of our agricultural roots.
That's awesome. So are there things, I guess, that you just love about organic, or that really drew you specifically to this industry?
Yeah, well, the great thing about organic produce is that it is tasty, it's delicious, it does good for the planet, it's good for your body, it fights climate change, it helps farmers to be more economically competitive. It also keeps farm workers healthier. There's so many benefits to organic that we know now. Also, it helps to resist drought. Because the soil is healthier and is able to retain more water during periods of drought. So anyway, so many benefits to it. So every day when I walk through the door, and my coworkers, when they walk through the door, we know that we're making a difference in the world. We're making a difference in the world in so many ways. And right now, it's been interesting to watch the politics around produce evolve, in particular in the MAHA movement. And I was at the IFPA Day and conference in Washington, which was a really great event. RFK Jr. came and spoke and talked about kind of their work to invert the food pyramid and to put produce at the top of that pyramid and to help people really connect with eating real food. I might not align with all the politics of, across the board, but such a great point that, organic produce really is the foundation of a healthy diet.
And on that note, organic produce tends to be like the darling of the organic industry. And, typically it's been like new families drawn in, but you're right, like MAHA has sort of influenced some, potentially some new customers or drawing people into it. Are there other influences that you're seeing that are drawing people to organic produce right now?
I have so much to say on this topic.
Yeah, no.
What you're saying.
This is a small question.
I know. We've talked for so many years about this, about different things related to this. But like one of the exciting things about organic produce, as you point out, is that it's actually 30% of all produce sales. All organic sales. So it's the biggest category. People kind of forget that. I think it was $22.7 billion last year was kind of the organic produce trade took in. One of the great things about organic produce is that it's like nature's first snack. Like when we think about a tangerine or an apple, you don't need a lot of packaging. You don't need, it's like you can carry, or a pluot, you can carry it in your lunch and eat it. And it's nutrient dense, it's healthy, it's vitamin dense. It's something that's really good for you. And I think customers are continuing to make really deliberate choices about what they're eating. We know that about 20% of households will be on a GLP-1 by the end of this year in the U.S. And what the data has shown us, you probably saw this, Nancy, is that results in a 70% increase in the share of the basket size of that produce has. So people are increasing their spend on produce. So right now, business is really good. The market is good. And despite a challenging economy and a challenging, economic situation, we're still seeing produce continue to grow and continue to gain market share when it's competing against conventional. So it's growing at a higher rate than conventional produce.
Right. And it grew faster last year than conventional for sure, which is great to see. I mean, that's happened a few years in a row. I guess on that note too, and there are always some challenges. I mean, it makes me think of supply too, because I feel like things like berries, I mean, sometimes you just can't even get enough. But what are there some things that are keeping you up at night? And I know there are probably a few like that just challenges for the industry.
Yeah, there are a few things that come to mind. One is that continued kind of wild weather that we're having. Weather's always been a challenge for every farmer, including my grandparents, including, it is what it is. It's one of those industries or those trades where you can put a bunch of money in ahead of time. One of our growers said this. You put a bunch of money in and you just pray and hope that, things will work out. But yeah, weather is getting even more wilder. We're seeing some real labor challenges. We want to be sure that people are paid fairly and that they can have a good income. And at the same time, growers are really challenged by labor. And with some of the immigration enforcement, there are really some needs to reform H-2A, the H-2A program. And also, some of the smaller growers rely on folks that may not, be in the H-2A program. And so that has really impacted growers. last year we had pears left on the trees. We had asparagus that wasn't harvested. We had cherries that weren't harvested because of really aggressive enforcement. So I think in the trade, we're looking for some labor solutions that help people, have a healthy life and at the same time help growers to be competitive. And it's not an easy thing, but I know, there's a big effort there. And then I think the other piece is we're seeing with the increase in fuel prices have been really challenging for growers. And also for distributors, you can imagine.
Yeah. Yes.
People said, well, if organic doesn't use fossil fuel inputs, then maybe it's not going to be expensive. But what we've been hearing is that some conventional growers are converting to non-fossil fuel inputs in light of the expense. And so that's also driving up the cost of compost and the expense of manure and compost. So, it's those market forces that are at play. And then the last thing I'll share about is extended producer responsibility. That was one of the themes that IFPA was really working on in Washington. Right now, we sort of have a patchwork of extended producer responsibility requirements up and down the West Coast. Folks in the IFPA and in the produce trade are really looking to try to unify some of that. So EPR is sort of a predictable expense. And some of the stories coming out of California are that EPR is costing some big companies upwards of $1 million a year. So lots of work to do there. And, we do need to deal with plastics. We do need to have producer responsibility. And at the same time, we have to figure out how, in a very slim margin business, how to deal with it. And I haven't seen a salad bag on the side of the road myself. People throwing trash out. I have seen bottles and other wrappers and things like that. So anyway, more work to do there, Nancy.
Well, and there's so much to talk about. And one of the things I do want to plug, though, is say, that it's having someone like you as a leader in this industry is really, really important. And you do have, you also have a new book, Lead Through Fire. Is that right? And how did that come about? That was resilient leadership for people, planet, and the future. So what led you to write this book, and how does it play into your everyday?
Yeah, so I wrote a book, Leading Through Fire, Resilient Leadership for People, Planet, and the Future. And it just actually won the Nautilus Award for the business category, which was really exciting. And it's focused on how to help leaders be resilient in the face of all the changes that we are in the midst of. So there are a lot of tools in there, from connecting with your purpose to, connecting with joy to, embracing diversity for the success of your business. Lots of different concepts in there that can help leaders stay resilient no matter what's coming at them. And, really it was a love letter for leaders coming out of an election that was really challenging for me personally, and wanting to, transmute my feelings into something that was really beneficial for everyone. And so I hope there are a few nuggets in there to help people. It's meant to be read over coffee in the morning, so you really can read a chapter in the morning over coffee. There's some actionable insights in there, and then you can move on to the next chapter the next day. Because I love to read in the morning. That's what I do. I read nonfiction every morning. But anyway, so it's just really some practical tips for people to survive in today's multiple crises.
Well, I love that. And I do think, the organic produce industry, I think, is one where it's almost like no challenge is the same. Like there's always just something, my hat is off to farmers always because, as you said, like building resilience is really, the main thing you can do, I think, to be able to survive. And I'm so glad we do, have this, they're kind of like warriors, warrior farmers who are out there, doing this day after day.
Yes, it does. And there's nothing like, the resilience that our farmers and growers have is, to your point, is just so incredible. All of the challenges that they face. And, one of the things that I've learned about as I researched for this keynote is that 60% of all farms have women making a lot of the business decisions. And they kind of get lost. We think about the women that are doing the accounting, that are doing the finances, that are, making a lot of the decisions. And so hats off to all those women in the year of the female farmer. Much gratitude to them.
I love that. Well, so on that note, yes, I'm looking forward to, I hope you're going to share some of these tips and, pieces from your book and just, advice. You're going to be at the Organic Produce Summit and doing our keynote for the women's networking lunch. And I love that. Is there anything you want to share about that or about,
It's been so fun preparing for it. And Nancy, I almost have a draft to send you, just so you know.
Oh, good.
I'm starting to memorize it. But, a lot of the research has been so fascinating, just learning about how many young women are involved in 4-H and involved in FFA and how many women are studying agriculture and getting more involved. I think the future is really bright for women in agriculture. And I know you're going to have some women on the panel too, like Bianca Caprielian, who's just an incredible, multi-generational produce person. So I think it's going to be a really great event. And I believe we're also going to be doing some networking and some work together to get to know other women in the organic produce trade. So I'm really excited about that and to meet other women. It's always amazing. And also, I'll just shout out to the non-binary folks that are in organic produce too. They aren't as visible, but they are there and working hard, and we really send a lot of love to them.
That's awesome. Thank you. Well, we are looking forward to having you speak, and it happens to be the 10th anniversary of Organic Produce Summit, and you've been in this industry, already for a long time. So, what is your hope for the next 10 years? Like, what would you like to see? I don't know, manifest in this industry?
I would like to see a few things. One is, right now, what the superpower of organic is really trust and consumer eater trust in the organic seal. And I would like to continue to see that seal evolve and continue to see improvements and changes in the organic seal. So that's the first thing, is just keeping that trust of the shopper and consumer. The second piece is just around grower resilience. To your point, Nancy, it's like, let's make sure that our growers are in a good place to continue to expand that supply, and that organic is attractive and continues to be attractive for them, so that they can compete in the marketplace. And then the other piece is just around, eaters and growers, they really want transparency. And in a world of really confusing certifications, and I know that New Hope and OPN have done a ton of analysis of the different certifications, and OTA has looked at, Organic Trade Association has looked at consumer affinity or shopper affinity for different certifications and labels. Really just maintaining that trust and transparency and accountability for our shoppers, so that they know that organic is the first place to go. And then the fourth thing, I think, is, hey, we know that produce in general is on the rise, that healthy eating is becoming a way of, people are seeing it as a sort of a healthcare choice, really. And those trends are continuing as organic continues to gain basket size, or produce continues to gain share of the basket. How do we as the organic agriculture community kind of step up to increase that supply? So that's another piece that we're really working on at OGC, is helping to support those mid-scale farmers and growers, and helping to help smaller growers move into mid-scale growing, so that we can continue that supply pipeline. And more women are getting into our beginner farmers. So this is an exciting place for women to be, because this trade, there's so much to look forward to.
I love that. Well, we look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you at the Organic Produce Summit. And I know you're speaking, I think it's on the 14th. So if any listeners out there are going to be at the show, please join us. And thanks for joining us today, Brenna. Brenna is the CEO of Organically Grown. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Nancy. It's always great to see you.
It's great to see you.